CC10 is coming way sooner than expected, but shh, hush, hush. Don't cry your little tears. I'm here if you need anyone to talk to, alright? Everything's gonna be okay. You finished the prototype to the new weapon of mass destruction you were working on? It better not be another utensil. Oh, it's an actual cannon this time. Alright, let's see it then. Contingency Contract Ashring Season 10 features enemies and mechanics from Chapter 10. Do you get it? Do you get the joke? They match. It's like CC10 with Chapter 10. Anyways, specific enemies called Reborn Creations, when blocked by an operator, increase the operator's block count by 1 to a max stack of 6. There are only two types of these enemies, the Slugma Balls and Eldritch Abominations, and they actually don't have a lot of health, only 3,000 for the big guys and half of that for the Scrimlows. They don't have much defensive stats either. The more pressing issue is that they only take 10% physical and arts damage, but that's okay. The map comes with the massive Doom Cannon that, when fully charged, nukes a big area of the map. The cannon targets the operator with the highest block count, takes about 120 seconds to charge, and does 3,000 true damage. Wait, true damage? The damage that ignores defense, arts resistance, and any damage reduction modifiers? That's crazy, bro. 3,000 damage also seems like an oddly specific number. Okay, that's all well and good for smashing Reborn Creations and any smaller mobs that are unfortunate enough to be in the blast radius, but remember that it targets operators, meaning someone is going to have to be the sacrifice. Yes, you can tank the cannon with enough HP, except let me remind you that ally HP down risks exist, so that's not really an option at high risk. If you're not a heartless monster though, you can retreat operators right before the cannon hits. The trick is to yoink the op as soon as you see the smaller top bar going down, which can save you some DP in case you're in a tight DP situation. The map also features two invisible tiles on the right side, which comes in quite handy. You can place operators on these tiles to block enemies, and they won't be targeted by the cannon. Moving on to enemies, these first guys, after waiting for 5 seconds, start charging the cannon, giving it 1 SP every second for 20 seconds. If you interrupt them with some form of crowd control while they're charging, 15 SP is taken away from the cannon. On death, they get reborn into a Skronkle. These drones spawn later in the stage, and they kinda just sit there, menacingly. Every time they attack your operators, it's a 1 SP towards the cannon. The drones are invisible, and they take 100 seconds to commit seppuku. They stay long enough on the map to naturally die, but if you want to speed up killing them, you can use the cannon that can hit through their invisibility. The most menacing enemy on this map, in my opinion, is this guy right here. They're tanky as hell, and their attack scales with how many Reborn Creations are on the field, which is going to be a lot since the map consistently spawns them. What's even worse is that there's a risk set that increases their attack and arts resistance, and it also gives them invisibility, so you have to either block them or use a fancy invisible reveal operator. Blocking is usually out of the question unless it's an operator with invincibility, cause these dudes slap harder than an Asian parent with a wooden spoon. The boss of the stage is Manfred, but his stats got curbed into oblivion. He has half the attack and arts resistance he usually has in a Chapter 10H stage, with also less than half the HP. If you've never fought Manfred before, basically in his first phase, he'll deal 50% of his attack as arts damage, and each time he hits the same target, he'll build up attack speed stacks up to 5 stacks, while also feeding the cannon 3 SP per attack. If he stops attacking for 6 seconds or switches his target, the attack speed stacks will go away. Manfred naturally has 80% physical and arts dodge, but if you blast his ass with the cannon, it'll go away for 30 seconds, allowing you to pelt damage on him. He'll also get stunned for 8 seconds. Once phase 1 is down, Manfred enters his transition phase, at which he'll target random allies anywhere on the map, charging the cannon 6 SP per hit, which happens every 0.8 seconds. After this transition phase, he gets 5 seconds of iframes, and now his attacks deal 100% of his attack as physical damage and 50% of it as arts damage. Every hit he does now feeds the cannon 6 SP, and like phase 1, he builds attack speed stacks if he's constantly attacking the same target. It sounds like you have to use the cannon to get past his annoying 80% physical and arts dodge, but honestly, max risk, they didn't really do that. Manfred comes with his own risk set. The left side makes him stun immune, meaning he won't be stunned by the cannon anymore. It increases his HP by a decent amount and his attack by a lot. His attack range is also increased. During phase 2, Manfred will also do another arts damage hit to an extra target in his range. If there isn't another target, then he does a second arts damage hit on the same target, which is a bit yikers. The right side of the risk set makes all Reborn Creation enemies and enemies that can spawn Reborn Creations have an arts damage aura that deals 5% of Manfred's attack every second. It increases his HP by way more and his attack by a bit. He gets some arts resistance with this tag and comes out earlier on the field. The risk 2 and 3 of both sides make his dodge come up faster, so you'll have less time to burst him down if he gets hit by the cannon. Most clears prefer the left side of the risk set, the one that makes Manfred deal big damage, purely because the dude is super cheesable. The right side makes it harder to deal with everything else, since now almost every enemy starts pissing themselves with arts damage. The other risks aren't anything too crazy except this small little oopsie in week 2. For some reason, HG decided it was a good idea to make the cannon do an extra 1000 damage, which again, sounds menacing until you realize that all your ops get one shot by the 3000 damage cannon anyways, so an extra 1000 damage isn't gonna do anything except help you kill the enemies faster. Nice one, HG. The pathing for this map is relatively simple. The mobs that go into the right lane go straight into the blue box, and only Reborn Creations spawn in this lane. The mid lane enemies are a bit more menacing and do a loop around this range tile before going into the blue box, and the left side does that funny IS2 map thingy where they wait on a tile and move all together. I thought we were gonna test the cannon out. Why are we in a supermarket? Peanut butter? For what? To oil up the machine? I don't think that's how peanut butter works. Soft bans are between casters and specialists versus snipers and guards. They're technically soft bans because you're still allowed to bring them, but combined with other risks, you basically wind up not bringing the class you choose against anyways. Snipers and guards got max risk with 6 ops, while casters and specialists needed 7. One operator doesn't seem like that big of a difference, but my advice is to go snipers and guards because that's where most of your damage options are, and most of you don't like actually thinking. We'll start with snipers and guards first, even though there's like one outstanding operator in this set. I mean, like, there's Surtur, but at this point I expect you all to know how Surtur is used in every CC. The main guard I'm talking about is Neural the Awesome. There's a common trend you'll see with a lot of recommended ops, and all of them are good sources of true damage. True damage is great to CC, specifically because it ignores the damage reduction on the Reborn Creations, and more importantly, it ignores Manfred's dodge. You don't have to come up with jank ways to charge the cannon to get damage in now. Neural has enough total damage to kill Manfred in one cycle with help from Gnosis S3 and Damage Amp. She's also used to deal with the Sarkaz Hate Drinkers, with Gnosis again to support her. For casters and specialists, you have Witty for her true damage shift. She can solo some of the left lane by herself with her third skill, and facing her cannon perpendicular to the direction she's facing makes her able to do some funky dual laning. Spectre the Enchained is mainly used as an operator that doesn't instantly die to cannon or the Sarkaz Hate Drinkers. Since the big sword guys are invisible, her S2 makes a great candidate for the squad because she doesn't get sliced into Swiss cheese. Although her damage with skill is still abysmal, her doll still does decent chip arts damage against them. It even hits and slows them once they go back invisible, which is plenty useful. Gnosis is used in both class set clears. For snipers and guards, as I said earlier, you use his S3 to damage amp for Neural and freeze Manfred so the Radiant Knight can get all her true damage in. If you're taking casters and specialists though, his S1 at M3 along with Psylocke's attack speed buff can permastall Manfred if timed correctly. You'll have to wait a millennia to kill Manfred since the guy still has his dodge and your ops have attack down, but hey, at least you don't have to deal with them. Both clears also used a summoner of some sort. For now, we'll go with the scary blue woman since she takes less brain to use. Blue woman, good for lane holding. Blue woman, good for cannon bait. Blue woman refreshes her summons pretty often to not run out of sacrifices. Blue woman, good for damage. Blue woman, good at the game, except when you take DP down too. Then she's kinda cost heavy, so you either slot another Vanguard to alleviate her 18 DP summons, or you actually get good at the game and use Scene. Calcit is basically used the same as Neural Gaming, lots of true damage, and she can solo the middle or right lane with Monster. If you don't have Gnosis, you can use Calcit and Neural combined to collapse on Manfred in order to cheese his second phase. Monster acts as pretty good cannon bait too. If there is any menacing enemy that deals arts damage, you know every clear will use Nightingale. And here she is. Press the S3 button, and now Manfred does no damage in phase 1. Her summons are also great at baiting attacks from him, and the Sork has casters that occasionally come out of left side. Risk 18 is a bit harder than usual, I think, because you actually have to think about your cannon shots, but other than that, go get them. Anyways, that's it. Goodbye. I seriously doubt this is gonna work. Like, this doesn't even look like a weapon of mass destruction. It's just some ancient cannon that will never put a dent in a land ship. Why is there a Fumo attached to the end? That doesn't even make any sense. You're seriously greasing up this machine with